Ladies and gentlemen, is the TSP is it really the best place for you to grow your money? To build wealth over time? The key to having a great retirement, of course, we know, is having strong investments. Is the TSP the best place to make that happen? Today, that's what we're going to dive into. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Dallin Haas. I'm a financial planner who serves feds just like you every day, and I love it. Let's get to, like we always do, the whiteboard. Let me summarize it for you. We'll get to the nitty-gritty, but here's the deal. While working, TSP is really hard to beat for a lot of reasons, which we'll go into. In retirement, it's not as clean-cut of a decision. IRAs actually become a much bigger contender at that point. But while working, it's very hard to beat the TSP. And let me talk you through why. Number one, no matter what you make, no matter what your salary is, you can always use the TSP. If you want to use an IRA, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with IRAs, they are like the TSP in that they are retirement accounts that you can put money into. They can grow either tax-free in a Roth or tax-deferred in a traditional. And then, of course, you can take it out in retirement. They work in a very similar way. However, IRAs, there's a lower contribution limit, meaning in the TSP, you can put $20,000, $30,000 a year in. In an IRA, you can put $7,000, $8,000 a year. The contribution limits are much, much lower. So you can just put less in them. So they're, yes, less useful. And they have earnings limits. Basically, once your income goes over certain thresholds, then you can no longer actually directly put money into these accounts and get the same benefits. So the TSP doesn't have any of that. No matter what your income is, you can always use the TSP. You can always use the Roth TSP, no matter what. And again, the contribution limit every year is much, much higher. So for that reason, while working, TSP is great. They beat IRAs, okay? Next, fees. Now, fees is an interesting one. IRAs don't actually necessarily cost more. The fees aren't necessarily higher. It really depends what you're invested in. Meaning, if you're in funds, if you're in investments that are expensive, then yes, it'll cost more in an IRA. Because in TSP, basically all the options they have available are low fee, which is great. We love that, right? IRAs have options that are just as low, if not lower than TSP, but they also have ones that are much higher, right? You just have to know what you're looking for. So fees are much simpler in TSP because there's just fewer options. All of the options are pretty good in TSP. They're not perfect, but they're pretty good. And in IRAs, there's a lot more room. There's room to make mistakes, but there's some great options as well. So generally speaking, fees, TSP is very competitive. It's very competitive, okay? So for those reasons alone, generally while people are working, I recommend, look, it's hard to beat TSP. You can try somewhere else, but it's probably not going to work, okay? TSP is fantastic while working. Now, that's the big question is, okay, in retirement, what are the other things to consider? Well, there's actually a lot of things to consider in retirement. And that is, first, how do you want to take money out? Right? TSP has some limitations on taking money out. For example, if you take a $10,000 withdrawal out of TSP, they're going to pull that from all your different funds. For example, if you've got 50% of your money in the C fund, and then 50% of your money in the G fund. So the C fund, as we know, if you don't know, it's the fund that it has a lot of fluctuations. It's the stock market. It'll fluctuate up and down. The G fund is very conservative, so it doesn't fluctuate a ton. And generally, if the C fund, let's say, is fluctuating here and it happens to be down at the moment, that may not be the time that you want to pull money out from it, right? You want to let it recover and come back before you start drawing money out. It's kind of like you don't want to sell your house when it's not worth very much. You want to wait for the real estate market to come back, right? The same is true for your investments. If we can help it, we don't want to pull from our investments that are down, okay? The TSP, though, doesn't give you that option. It doesn't say, hey, we'll let you just pull from the G fund or whatever you want. They take things out pro rata, which is a pain, okay? Also, there's a number of tax strategies that, at least for our clients, we help them do all the time in retirement because they help a ton. Things like Roth Conversions, okay, is a great example, Roth Conversions. I've got whole videos on what those are. You can check those videos out if you want to know. Long story short, TSP is adding this option and starting in 2026, but there's not a ton of flexibility in how they're letting you do it, right? I'm not going to go into all the details, but long story short, In retirement, there's a number of things that TSP just doesn't let you do that many retirees would really like to take advantage of, which IRAs allow you to do. Also, if you want someone to help manage your investments for you, want a financial planner, whether our firm or another firm, to help manage your investments for you in retirement, TSP doesn't let they don't let financial planners actually go in and manage your investments for you. So if you want someone to help do that, that would have to happen in an IRA. Okay. Again, I'm not saying TSP is necessarily bad in retirement, because it's not necessarily bad. There's just a few things it can't do compared to IRAs, right? It depends what your goals are. It depends if you want to do it all yourself, you want help, and what strategies you want to implement. Okay, so those are some of the biggest things to consider when thinking about TSP. Again, my summary is, while working, TSP is very, very hard to beat. Very difficult because the fees are simple and low. The investments are good enough, right? Good enough. And there's no earnings limits for where you can put money. You can contribute a ton of money. It's just great. In retirement, it really comes down to what you care about and if you want help or not. I've got whole videos of TSP versus IRA if you want to see that more in depth of just in retirement, what people are doing. And if you want help with your TSP and manage it in retirement, hit us up in the description. There's a bunch of resources on how we help people if you're looking for help. Otherwise, though, have a great rest of your day. Good luck with everything, and I'll see you guys in the next video.